any endless supply of food, what would it be? We could start with Garrett from BakerTilly, and we could popcorn from there.
Okay, that sounds great. Lindsay, I'm going to popcorn to you, just a heads up. So it's coming. So my name's Garrett. I'm a campus recruiting manager with BakerTilly. We used to be known as Squire Milner. And then in November of 2020, while celebrating the Dodgers World Series, we got bought by this firm called BakerTilly. BakerTilly is headquartered out of Chicago with offices throughout the entire United States. Top 10 firm in the United States. So we went from being like a 600 person firm in California here to a 6,000 person firm across the country. And so lots of offices and lots of opportunities and all that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Oh, I came from practice, by the way. So my undergraduate degree is in accounting. I have my CPA license. I was an auditor for the firm back when our LA office was quite literally 4 auditors. It was me, a senior manager, and 2 partners, and that was it. They're up to like 40, 45 people nowadays. So a lot has changed. The food question. This is actually one of the easiest questions I've ever seen. Without hesitation, I would say dumplings, or more specifically, xiaolongbao. Bao. I'm a huge dumpling fan. I'm a huge soup dumpling fan. A coworker of mine gave me a delivery service that delivers frozen bags of dumplings to your doorstep called Cali Dumpling Delivery Service. If any of you guys are interested in it, I got my mom onto it. I'm a huge dumpling fan, so I could eat an endless supply of that for the rest of my life. So popcorn, Lindsay.
That was wonderful, Garrett. My name is Lindsay. I am a campus recruiter with CBIZ. I sit in our LA office and I represent and recruit for all of our California offices here at CBIZ. CBIZ is also a mid-sized firm. We got about 5,000, almost close to 6,000 now, with over 100 offices all over the country. We are growing in audit, tax, forensic, advisory, all the good stuff, and recruiting for interns and associates for 2022 and 2023. Food question. This is a fun one. I will specifically say a spicy chicken sandwich. I'm currently on the hunt for the best spicy chicken sandwich in LA. So if you have any hot tips or any suggestions, let me know. I'm gonna popcorn over to Carrie.
Thanks, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. My name is Carrie Crevel. I'm the Senior Recruiting Manager for HCVT. We are another mid-sized public accounting firm. Surprise, surprise. That's why you're all here tonight. Fun fact about us, we are the largest CPA firm headquartered in Southern California. So we have about 700 people spread across our 13 offices in California, Arizona, Texas, and Utah. I think like everyone on this call, we are actively hiring across all of our service lines as well. It's a good time to be an accounting student if you didn't know that. But we're hiring for associate or staff roles and internships for 2022 and 2023. My answer on the food thing is not going to be as exciting as Lindsay or Garrett. I was debating, but I'm going to go with pasta. I'm a carb addict. I could never ever do keto Atkins, like could never do that. I like give me a giant plate of pasta and I'm a happy girl. So yeah, pasta all the way. I'm going to popcorn over to Tiera.
There we go. If I could unmute myself. My name is Tiera Willey, and I am a campus recruiting specialist here at Cohn-Resnick. As you know, the theme clearly is we are a mid-sized firm. Cohn-Resnick is one of the top accounting, tax, and advisory firms in the U.S. We are an established firm with we date all the way back to 1919. So we have a presence, a physical presence actually in over 25 different cities across the world, and over 27, probably closer to 3,000 employees now. We basically, kind of blend the deep resources and technical aspect of a large accounting firm with more of that hands-on of a smaller one. So, and as everyone said, it is definitely a time to be an accounting student. You are in high demand. It's not like when I was in college looking for a job and just praying, endlessly applying resumes. You are in a great position to be in as a student. We are currently hiring for our remaining 2022 positions, as well as all of our 2023 positions. So super excited to be here, to meet all of you. In regards to endless supply of food, that's actually a really tough question because I'm such a foodie. If I don't have any of the carbs and weight gains that come with this food, I probably would definitely go with tacos. like endless supplies of all different types of taco and queso and guac, like everything that comes with it, just all of that. If there's no like, you know, repercussions of my actions. Oh, popcorn. Forgot about that part. Popcorn to, wait, who is showing weirdly on my screen? To Isaac. No, wait, Isaac, you're with us. Just kidding. Wait, who am I popcorning to?
Here, you
Imagine
can
possibly-
popcorn to me or Majid.
Well, it's you. There you go. I was like, it's not showing on my screen correctly.
I
I'm
thought I
sorry,
would help
guys.
you out.
I mean, you would think it's my first time. It's cool, I promise.
All right, well, now Majid, you know who's next. Well, hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Camellia Sarmadi, Campus Recruiting Manager here at Moss Adams. I have been at Moss Adams for just shy of 6 years, and I sit in the LA area. Recently, actually, we sorry if you heard that. We recently kind of revamped our LA office locations, and we have an office in El Segundo, one in Pasadena, and one in Woodland Hills. So wherever you're really situated in the LA area, we have an office for you. In terms of our kind of background of our offices, we're headquartered in Seattle, Washington, a very West Coast centric firm. And we have about 3,600 employees and growing every day, it feels like. We are definitely hiring for our internship and full-time roles in 2022. We have some internship opportunities for 2023. And then we also have some scholarships for our freshmen and sophomores on the call. Specifically, you can look out for the Ignite scholarship. In terms of food, Tiera, you took mine, but I'm gonna go ahead and go the other direction. I was thinking smoothies. I think I could live off of smoothies, and I think I'd be okay. It's interesting, like you can mix it up, you know, add mangoes one day, spinach another. I feel like I could get a balanced diet, so I'll go with smoothies, although tacos was my first one. All right, Majid, all you.
Thanks. My name is Majid, and I'm actually an audit manager out of our Manhattan Beach office at Weaver. I've been with the firm for almost a little over 5 years now, and our campus recruiter is based out of Texas. So I help her a lot with the recruiting out here in our LA offices. A little bit of background about us is we have 3 offices in Southern California, one in Woodland Hills, which is pretty close to where most of you guys probably live, one in Manhattan Beach, which is where I'm based out of, and one in downtown. And similar to everyone else on here, we're recruiting a lot for audit, tax, advisory positions in all 3 of our offices. Like a couple others mentioned, the accounting market right now is super hot. So you guys are in a very good job market. So, and coming out to these events is like a great way to meet all of us different people, all of the, you know, professionals and recruiters, and get to know everyone and try to figure out what kind of firm is best for you. In terms of favorite food, I would definitely say ice cream is something I could eat nonstop. I like to travel around the LA area and try different types of sweets. That literally is probably what I do on most weekends. So I could probably survive off ice cream, which is a good food to actually go to when you're working busy season hours and need a stress reliever. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow, thank you, everyone. That was some great food options. I put my vote behind tacos. Tacos are great. So now I'll pass it on to my co-director, Rosie, for our first question of today's panel.
Yeah, sure. So my question is, can each of you talk about your application process, requirements, and due dates? We could start with Carrie.
All right, happy to kick it off. Do you want me to just popcorn? Like keep the popcorn theme going? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So as we kind of mentioned already, we are actively recruiting for both our remaining 2022 staff roles as well as our internship program for 2023. The roles are all posted on your Career Center site, and then the application process is actually directly through our website. So you would go to HCVT's job board, you can reach it on our website, hcvt.com, fill in the application. We do look for obviously a brief application form, as well as a resume, cover letter, and unofficial transcript copy, just to be uploaded to our site. The deadline for priority consideration this year is February 25th. So you have a little bit over a week to get your application in. And then from there, we'll be in touch and we'll be doing first round interviews in early March. So I will popcorn it over to Garrett.
Thanks, Carrie. So we've got, let's see here, our applicant, what we're looking for right now through Handshake are 2023 internships. So audit, tax, spring, summer, anything like that. And so you'll see that in Handshake. And so if you jump onto Handshake, the application deadline is February 25th. Our interview date is going to be March 4th, 2022. Now, if you're looking for something that is either not posted on Handshake or you just don't see it or it's not what you like, jump on over to our website. And that one is a little bit of a different cycle where you're free to apply for whatever job you like, any position, anywhere, at any time, and somebody will reach out to you and kind of get in contact with you. So two slightly different streams. But that's kind of what the process is. Requirements, our minimum GPA requirement is a 3.0. Due date, as I mentioned, for Handshake, that's the easiest, cleanest, fastest way to do things, in which I can guarantee you that there's an interview date that'll happen. If you go through our website, it kind of depends on availability and that kind of stuff. So due date, February 25th. And I will popcorn over to Majid.
Thanks, Garrett. So for us, we're hiring interns and full-times to start either this August or this coming January. So if you intern with us, unlike with most other firms, you'll be doing it during the springtime or during the spring or during the fall outside versus the summer. And we do that because spring and fall is the time of year where we have like the most work and we need the most help. So if you intern with us, you'll get like real hands-on exposure to actual audit, tax areas, etc. So the way you apply is you can apply either directly through our website, or you can apply. Our application is also on LinkedIn, so you can go through either of those ones. I don't think we have the application on Handshake. We just do all of our interviews direct in-house. So you would interview virtually in this case with probably me and two of our other managers. And deadline-wise, we're hoping to finish our applications by like mid-March for our upcoming August interns. And for our following January internships, we're still taking applications, but that one probably won't close for a while. So if you're interested in an August internship, I'd recommend applying ASAP. If you're interested in a January internship, you probably still have some more time before, so you don't have to jump on it. And I'll give it to Camellia.
Alrighty, so for Moss Adams, I encourage you all to go head to the Moss Adams Careers website. When you're on the Moss Adams Careers website, you'll see, of course, our 2022 positions as well as 2023. We have a bot that's called Humanly, and it helps you walk through what you're eligible for. And so when you are applying for Moss Adams and you click looking for opportunities, it'll encourage you to have a short conversation to be able to determine, using CPA eligibility dates, graduation dates, exactly what you are eligible for. I think it's a I think it's a helpful tool to help you get to the right place. So take that extra time, complete it, and hopefully you'll end in the correct position. If you have any questions at all, you're always welcome to reach out to a recruiter. And we do have a priority application deadline, of course, of February 25th, similarly to HCVT. So keep that in mind when you're going through the process. We will be beginning first round and second round interviews really quickly after that. So you can expect to be busy with interviews the first couple weeks of March. All right, I'll go ahead and popcorn to Tiera.
Thank you. So yeah. We here at Cohen Resnick, we are currently hiring for, we have a very few random summer positions still open for the summer, but they're very far and few between. So if they have not already been snatched up, they are still available. We are also actively looking to fill 2022 entry-level associate positions that'll start in the fall, as well as everyone else with 2023 winter and summer interns. So we are actively hiring for all those positions. You can go to our careers page on cohenresnick.com, and we separate ours from experienced hires versus campus opportunities. So if you click on campus opportunities, that will be where you will find all of our internship opportunities, as well as our entry-level associate positions. And with that, you can even filter per location to make it even more simplistic for you to find the exact location or internship versus associate position that you would like to find. We do have a requirement of a 3.0 GPA, as well as with our internship course, it's more just at least like a 1 to 2 classes of accounting already under your belt. And then obviously with the entry level associate, just 150 credit hour completion. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then popcorn to Lindsay.
Thank you. Similarly to Carrie, we do have our, positions listed on Handshake. However, we do ask that you apply formally through the CBIZ jobs website. We're all wrapped up for our 2022 internships. However, we do have a ton of 2023 internships available, including one that I personally suggest looking into, which is our audit and tax rotational internship for the summer. We do still have 2022 associate roles open, so you can check those out at CBIZ jobs or cbizcampus.com. We do not have a minimum GPA. We prefer to look at the whole person. And in terms of our associate roles, we do not require you to have your 150 or your CPA before starting with us. Our deadline is March 11th, and we are starting interviews now. So go ahead and apply if you're interested. And I will reach out to you within 2 weeks, at the very latest, once you apply.
Thank you all so much for that information. And for our next question, what different opportunities do you offer for sophomores, juniors, and seniors? And will students have the opportunity to do a rotational internship at your firm? We could start with Tiera, Willey, and popcorn from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to unmute myself and I was already unmuted. There we go. So yeah, we basically offer positions more so based off of your 150 completion date typically. As always, there's sometimes exceptions to rules depending on how everything lays. Sometimes it lays a little weirdly with your completion date. So it might be technically a little like a semester early or a semester later for your internship. But we do offer currently for our 2022 positions for internships, that would be ideally someone who is going to be completing their 150 by 2023. So all of the positions are typically a year out from your 150 completion date. So that rolls from anywhere from sophomores, juniors, and then seniors, of course, typically if you're going to be graduating with your 150, which that's super great, you can go ahead and apply right to the 2022 entry-level associate position. But if you're not graduating with your 150, you could still be considered for a 2023 internship program as a senior, and take advantage of having that ability to go through a winter internship and experience busy season, or go right into a summer internship, whichever works better for your schedule. We get it. Not everyone can typically manage a winter internship at times. I probably would have gone crazy if I was trying to manage school and an internship. So, but people are doing great and they're thriving in the position. So as far as rotational internships, we at the moment pretty much function as audit versus tax. It's not typically blended, but we do offer the opportunity if students basically state that they have some interest in trying out tax or something. We definitely set up some time for them to meet with the team, possibly spend a week with the team or anything like that, just to kind of understand a little bit. But their main focus would be audit, or vice versa, their main focus would be tax. We have had students who do a audit internship and then also do a tax internship. We have had that happen. It's definitely possible. So, but just not a whole lot of crossover during your actual internship, mainly because we want you to be able to fully embrace what's going on, gain all the information. It is a lot of information and a lot of work in a very short time period. So trying to somewhat master one skill in such a small time can already be tough. When you're learning new softwares and processes and terminologies and everything, we don't want to throw on a whole nother department on top of that. So we definitely want you to be able to focus solely on that, but do give you the opportunity to, venture into another department to kind of see and ask questions and have those sit downs with people. I will popcorn over to Carrie.
I think you gave a really good overview of like, I think what most of us are going to say. So I'm going to keep mine short because you did like, I was like, good, you did a great job for us all. We're very, we're all very similar, I think, in how we tend to operate. But just to recap quickly for HCVT, we do have for sophomores, we do have an internship program for next summer, depending on where you are in your 150, sophomores and juniors. We actually will look at both for internships. So if you're a sophomore and you're wondering what you should be doing, you should, depending on your 150, definitely consider applying for a 2023 internship. Juniors and seniors, we have staff roles posted for now, and then also actually all the way going up to summer 2023 posted right now. So you can go take a look, and there's opportunities available for you both as well. We also, even in case we have any freshmen on the call, or you're friends with the freshmen, we will be holding a program later this summer designed for freshman students or students who are, just very kind of still exploring and aren't ready to commit to an internship for next summer yet. We have not yet opened that application process, but keep an eye out on our website because it will be up as soon as we get through this round. Sort of late March, early April, we'll have a position posted for attending that program as well. I think Tiera said it best. We unfortunately don't offer a rotational internship program for the same reasons she mentioned, just in terms of really being focused on one, it's a super short 8 weeks if you do the internship with us in the summer. One component of our internship program, though, that we do offer is a speaker series with people from different service lines. So if you're an audit intern, you still get exposure to tax professionals, tax senior leadership, and kind of they can do a deep dive into their respective service line. And it's not uncommon for people to switch their offers as well after graduate, after completing the internship prior to starting as a staff. They go, I tried audit. I'm really not sure that's for me, but I want to stay with HCVT. Depending on capacity, we'll end up switching them over to tax or another service line in the firm as well. So I'm going to popcorn it over to Lindsay.
Thanks, Carrie. Like I mentioned, CBIZ does have a rotational internship. We have a pretty robust summer program where we do a half tax, half audit. As someone that was very indecisive in school, I wish I had that option. I think it's a pretty cool way to get to know both service lines and then kind of like choose one at the end of the summer. But we do also specific audit, specific tax, and specific forensic and litigation intern opportunities, which is like someone that goes into courtrooms and is a financial and accounting expert within court cases. As for our opportunities, sophomore, junior, mostly able to intern with us. We also take senior interns, and then based on graduation date, your associate level positions. But don't want to repeat everything that everybody already said. So I'm going to pass it over to Camellia.
Alrighty, so I want to make this a little visual for you guys. So I jumped onto the Moss Adams career website and I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. Oh, I have to say it's disabled. Leander, someone, is that possible?
I just enabled it for you.
Thank you. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so as I'm gonna roll through, but this is the Moss Adams Careers website. There's a little interactive piece to this where you'll be able to see highlights of each one. For our freshmen and sophomores, we have the Ignite Scholarship that I've mentioned. It's $2,500 awarded specifically to diverse individuals, and you can apply for that on our website. So you can see that at the very top, Ignite. Now I'm going to jump to GPS Operational Internship. This is a niche, very small group internship. We typically have about 30 GPS interns across the whole firm every summer. And for GPS, again, we're looking for diverse individuals to apply. This GPS opportunity is specifically for sophomores and juniors on a 5-year track. So if you have 2 summers left before you are graduating and CPA eligible with those 150 units, this is the right opportunity. And then I'll skip ahead. We have our internship programs, the traditional ones. Now, let me rewind for 5 seconds. The GPS internship back here is rotational, gives you a 6-week opportunity to really job shadow and oversee all of the different internship opportunities and different service lines, get a little bit of action in each service line, including consulting and technology. But our traditional internships, or what we call client service internships, we save those for the summer before you are graduating and or CPA eligible. So if for you that's in 1 year, then this upcoming summer would be that season for you. For those client service internships, they are not rotational, and instead we ask that you do select a service line. And similar to what the other firms will share, we are flexible. We want you to be happy, and we're going to be able to move you around if that's needed and find you a new service line at pretty much any point in your career, to be quite honest, not just at the beginning. And then of course there's staff opportunities for those who are graduating within the next 6 months. I will stop sharing. And that's it. But check out the website if you want more info. Let's see. I'm forgetting who's gone because now we've like popcorned a couple times. Someone raise your hand for me. Who hasn't gone? Is everyone gone? Garrett, I popcorned to you.
First of all, Tiera gets all the credit for this one, right? You crushed it, nailed it. Very similar. I'm only going to add a couple things, Majid, and then I'll come over to you. So sophomores for BakerTilly, we have a summer spotlight program, which is going to be virtual this year, hopefully just 1 more year of doing that. You also can apply for 2023 internships. If you're a junior, you can apply for internships or full-time positions in the future, depending on which one fits your need best. Seniors, obviously, you can apply for internships and full-time positions as well. I did want to add one little thing in here to clarify. In general, I think I feel comfortable saying this for all of the firms that are present on this call today. If you apply through their website or Handshake or however the firm we want you guys to apply, those are system generated things. And that may shut you out of some stuff, or it may allow you to apply for some stuff, or based on, there could be a preference of, hey, look, based on when you graduate, your 150 unit date, when that happens, we want you to do a certain thing here or there. If you guys ever run into system limitations with any of these firms here, reach out to any of us as recruiters. All of us can pull some strings in a system and get you around certain things to get you in a position that fits best. Again, I think Tiera mentioned this really nicely. Traditionally speaking in this, the runway of like internship up to full-time with eligibility left of being a student has been how things happen. But every once in a while now, especially with units and the CPA exam and everything, maybe you graduate in December, you intern after your graduation in January with one of our firms, take the summer off, pass the CPA exam, and then start full-time in the fall or in the next year. So there are extenuating circumstances and situations where the fit for you may be best with more of an internship and then eventually full-time, regardless of when your graduation date is. So in general, base things off of a graduation date, but if your situation is a little bit unique or you just don't want to do it that way, reach out to one of the recruiters individually, and that would probably be the best thing. One last thought on rotational internships before I pass things over to Majid. So rotational internships, hot button, okay? In fact, it was a Cal State Northridge tabling event outside of the EY Career Center there, where I was getting hammered with questions about how do you pick between audit and tax and all this. And a young lady came forward and said, excuse me, I've done a rotational internship. And I said, oh, thank God, right? Like, this is how did this help you pick between them? And she goes, actually, it really confused me even more. And I got really upset because I was like, you weren't supposed to say that. You were supposed to say how a rotational internship really helped. And I think it does for some people. And I do like Camellia with Moss Adams and kind of a GPS type thing where it's kind of like, hey, figure out like which direction you want to go and then come back the next time for that other internship. However, there are also times in our lives where you don't get much of a choice in terms of you didn't get to sample Cal State LA for a year and then go to Cal State Northridge, although you could have done that, right? And so kind of to Carrie's point where it's like, all of these, we all want you to be able to move around. And so even if you start in one and end up not liking it and you want to switch to another part, all of these firms here are going to help you land in a spot that you feel is best for you and also that we feel is best for you. So while some firms may have a rotational program, that's good if you can do it and you feel like that would help you, fantastic. But also know that even if firms don't offer a rotational program, your career is allowed to rotate in whatever direction you would like it to rotate. So feel free to ask questions about it, try it out, and try and figure it out. So sorry, Majid, that was supposed to be quick and it wasn't. My bad.
No problem. You covered a lot of really good topics there. So for us, yeah, it's pretty similar to what everyone else has mentioned. Like if you're graduating in 2022, you would apply for one of our full-time positions for either this August or the coming January, depending on when you're graduating. And if you're a sophomore, junior, or senior who's graduating in 2023, then you would apply for either like a fall internship or a spring internship. And the internships are part-time, so you would typically work around like 16 to 24 hours based on, your college schedule. And, you can work whatever days fit best within based on when you're taking your classes. And it's definitely doable if you're taking like 12 units. And like the one thing I'll say about like spring and fall internships is they're a really good way to like get your hands into real audit and real tax work experience and to get an idea of what you'll be doing when you're a full-time associate. Because a lot of the time, like summer internships are a really great way to learn about like a firm's culture, to like get to know your starting class, et cetera, and get to know all the people within the firm. But a lot of the time, summer is a slower time for public accounting firms. So it's really harder for, I'm a manager and most of my job is finding work for staff. Right now, I have like so much work I can give all my staff because it's the springtime. During the summer, it's the opposite, where I got a bunch of staff sitting around and it's really hard for me to find them work. So if you intern during like the spring and the fall time, you'll get real good like hands-on exposure to audit and tax and what you'll be doing. Whereas during summer internships are really great too to learn about to gain culture and stuff. But depending on the situation, you may not get as much hands-on exposure. So yeah, it can be hard interning while you're in college, but you definitely will learn a lot and it comes with a lot of benefits. And last thing is just for rotational internships. We don't do rotational internships for similar reasons that like others have mentioned. And usually the best way to figure out whether you want to, do audit or tax, from my experience, is to talk to people who work in that industry and ask them what they like about it, what they dislike about it. Like on our tax side, I always tell people when you work in tax, maybe be ready to work 2 busy seasons, whereas when you work in audit, maybe be ready to work 1 busy season. But when you work in tax, you get to work a lot more in the office, whereas in audit, you get to work a lot more out of the client site. So best way to learn whether you want to do audit or tax, in my experience, is to attend events like this, talk to people who do that sort of stuff and get their input on it and figure out what your goals are.
Thank you, everyone. That information was very helpful. Now on to Rosie with our next question.
Yes, so my question to all of the panelists. Does your firm have any opportunities for DACA students or international students, such as unpaid internships or sponsorships? We could start with Garrett.
Thank you, Rosie. So this one's super sensitive subject. Tough one too. So BakerTilly's policy on this is you have to have the legal right to work in the United States. Our firm does not sponsor students at the university level for roles within the firm. At the experience level, we do, which of course is kind of like, well, how am I supposed to get the experience to be able to get the sponsorship? So totally understand that. Unfortunately, at this point, we don't sponsor at the university level. If you do have the legal right to work in the United States, you're good to go. And that's what we base all of our decisions off of, really not anything else. So it's a tough one. Believe me, I think every single recruiter here has met people who we absolutely loved and the firm loved and they loved the firm and got hung up on work status for that person joining the firm. It's obviously not a great situation, but that is BakerTilly's policy at the moment. And I will gladly pass things along to Lindsay for the next one.
Thank you. Echoing exactly what Garrett said, unfortunately, we do not sponsor at the campus level. We do at the experience level. It's a little bit frustrating sometimes, but it's how we're doing it right now. Hopefully something changes in the future. I'm going to pass this to Tiera.
There we go. So I'm actually throwing a wrench in this. Here at CohnReznick, we are actually offering international students opportunities at the moment. So we actually just started this. It is in its starting phases. We started probably like November of last year, so very new. When it comes to all of the terminology and everything that comes with international recruiting, it is a lot. I am not going to pretend to know all of the ins and outs and rules and regulations that come with it. But we do offer international students opportunities to do internships if they have CPT eligibility, and then our entry-level associate positions, you are eligible for it if you have OPT eligibility, which is typically upwards of 3 years for OPT. And we do offer that for both our internship program and our entry-level associate program. So like I said, I am very new and still joining into all of the technicalities that come with it, but we do offer those abilities to join our company if you have that eligibility with CPT or OPT, and we will deal with possible sponsorship towards the end of your 3-year OPT eligibility. So turning it around a little bit, and it does open up a whole new pool of candidates for programs. Just like Garrett and Lindsay said, it is something that a lot of firms have struggled with, because we know that there's so many great candidates out there that we just unfortunately have always felt like the bad guy when we say we can't help out. But in reality, we push it as recruiters a lot, and we're always pushing the top to try to get you guys in. So super excited to be able to offer that now, and that is something that we are slowly integrating within our programs. So I will popcorn off to Camilla. There you go.
We're in a similar boat as Garrett and Lindsay, but if you are not in need of sponsorship, please do apply. So specifically, the question did ask about DACA students, and we are able to hire you because you are not in need of work sponsorship. So do a little bit of research. I'm sure you have if you're going through this process, but yeah, I'll pass it on to, let's see, who hasn't gone? Majid.
So on our end, we do sponsor H-1B visas for candidates, but outside that, similar to Tiera, I'm not the most knowledgeable on this topic. So I know like we've had a couple people who we've sponsored, but that's the most that I know about for our firm. So I'll keep it pretty simple on my end. I think the last person is Carrie.
Yeah, I think I'll round this one out. So unfortunately, we do not sponsor at the entry level. I was an international student once in another country many years ago. So I feel you international students, if you're on this call, how hard it is. It's hard, having gone through the process myself. But DACA students, if you do have the right to work in the United States, please, by all means, please apply. We would love to see your application. So close it out there.
Thank you, everybody. And for our next question, this is to Carrie, Garrett, and Tiera. Sometimes students get nervous when talking to professionals, and when you try to tell your story, you may not come off as real or authentic. What are some tips you have used to avoid this and that have worked for you when you were recruiting? We could start with Carrie and popcorn from there.
Sure.
With
okay.
Garrett and Tiera.
Perfect. I think the first thing to do is not practice, obviously, right? Practice. You've heard this, I'm sure, from your career center, I'm sure from the clubs. Practice, practice, practice. The other wrinkle I will say to this is I think sometimes we get in our own heads a little bit. I think even we do as recruiters, right? Where you're so worried about saying the wrong thing. Really, like, yeah, okay, we all have the stories of like the worst thing you can say, but if you use common sense and just are yourself, that's who we want to see, right? Like that your normal self, right? You do want to put your best foot forward, think about what you want to say ahead of time. But I think I speak for everyone on this call, like we want to get to know the real you, because that's who we're going to be working with one day, right? Not this like super polished, poised, amazing elevator pitchy person, right? Like well, that's not the real you, most likely. So practice, think about maybe the 2-3 things you want to make sure you articulate, and then like shake it off, even if it's like physically shake it off before going to events. Once we start going back in person, there's really not much you can say that's going to derail any conversation. Like, so just kind of get out of your own head a little bit. Garrett, Tiera, what else?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of go off of what Carrie said, like, first, I just want to say, like, I guarantee you there's not any companies here that are going to put their scariest, most stuffiest person as a recruiter in front of you at a career fair. They usually tend to find more easygoing, easy to talk to, friendly, energetic people. As you can see, none of us are sitting here looking like we're ready to, like, just like die of boredom. Like, we're usually pretty upbeat people. So, we do tend to come in and we want to try to make it easier for you by being a little bit more personable. I don't know about them, but I will crack a joke really quick to try to make you feel like a little bit more at ease, to make it seem a little bit less stuffy. It can be nerve-wracking, especially if you're coming in and like you're in your suit or you're in whatever you're coming in and trying to look all nice and trying to sound super professional. I guarantee you none of us at your age sounded overly professional and super, said everything just right and was super professional. We messed up, I guarantee you, and we still got the job. So we want you to be more of like yourself, show your personality, have that conversation, because the people that stand out to us the most are the people that we have very organic, just casual conversations with. They're not super centered around the program, the company. It's just organic conversations that we have. We've cracked a couple jokes, we've had a couple laughs, we've gotten to know each other, and we're like, hey, that kid was really good. I really liked them. You need to reach out to them and we need to schedule an interview. Like, those are the people that stand out. Those people who just show who they really are, like, because these are the people that once we get to know even your personality some, we can even start being like, oh, they would be great with this team. Like, they have the same personality as that team. So these are the things we're looking for. We're not looking for those super perfect answers, or it's not a beauty pageant. We're not looking for the no imperfections or anything like that. We want, those just organic, natural conversations that come at these events. And it also makes our life easier when we're standing there for 4 to 5 hours, not to hear a bunch of just very robotic responses. We really like to just have a general conversation with you. I promise we're not here to like frighten you or anything like that. So I will popcorn over to Garrett to finish it out.
Yeah, this is good stuff. Practice, Carrie mentioned it. There's a couple of different ways you can practice. Like, by the way, for all of the students here, show of hands, has anyone been to more than 2 Meet the Firms? Virtual or otherwise? Leander, yeah. It got easier, right? Yeah. So like that in one sense, like practicing that, it gets easier that way. Tiera may crack a joke. I will rudely insult your favorite sports team, whoever that is, even if it's a team that I root for. I'm a Grinch at heart. That's what I do. One of the things I used to like doing, I don't do it as much anymore, although it depends. I actually like announcing that I'm nervous. It's my own like power move to be in control of, like, it's no longer, first of all, it's not a secret. We know that you're nervous, but second of all, it's my own way of kind of like opening up, sharing, being a little bit vulnerable. And if you tell somebody else that you're nervous, like, hey, I'm a little nervous right now, it takes a lot of stones for that person to be like, yeah, tough break, man. Like, we're gonna open up if it's like, oh, I'm feeling nervous. Like, we're gonna try to make you feel not nervous, right? So that's like, we are here to help. We are trying to get to a more comfortable setting. And to be fair, like networking events and Meet the Firms and stuff, they're not particularly like natural settings for meeting people. Like, we're aware of that. So there are little things you can do. I think kind of like personally for me, knowing facts about our company isn't the most important thing in the world to me. Like, there's a lot of times where students will come up and tell me something about BakerTilly. They're like, I've learned something new today. Like, cool, but that's we want to know more about you. And if you think about like your interactions with your friends, like there's no real like script for that, right? There may be tips and tricks for how the interaction goes or how smoothly or unsmoothly it goes. But that's the tough thing with networking with professionals, is I don't think any of us can necessarily give you or would want to give you a script that says like, hey, do this or this or this. It's okay to make mistakes in that process. Now, I think both Tiera and Carrie had mentioned make those mistakes with the recruiter. Like, we are a safe space at any and all times. If you want to like feel like we are all outgoing people for a reason. They do not select the mean people at the firm to be recruiters. So it's like, if you're asking things or want to know things, you can start with us and we'll give you a scouting report or a prep report for other people that you're going to meet and a little bit about them to try to set you at ease. But that's a little bit about it. I really do empathize. Believe it or not, there was a time in my life where I absolutely would have said that I'm a shy person. Those days are long gone. But I do really empathize with people who walk into a crowded room for networking events that are just overcome with anxiety. I still am, for the record. These are not my preferred ways of meeting people in a big crowded room like CSUN's Meet the Firms usually is. And so that's okay. Like that's okay to do that, to try to set up other meetings where it's a little bit more one-on-one. But I trust me, my heart goes out to you, and it's okay. It gets a little bit better each time you practice it.
And I mean, just to even feed off of that, Garrett, just like to close out, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, like, just be aware that sometimes it's just like you said, it's just as weird for us. I even come into things like this when I'm sitting here with other recruiters from other companies, and I'm like, am I going to do well? Am I going to like sell my company just as well as they're selling their company? Like, do I really know what I'm doing here? Like, we all have those moments. I wish to tell you it goes away. It doesn't. You still get nervous. You still have these moments as like at whatever level of your career where you're going to either doubt yourself or question, like, am I handling this correctly? So you're always going to have those moments. Even walking into career fairs and awkwardly not wanting to make eye contact with someone because then you have to feel obligated to walk up to their table. We're just here to try to make you feel as comfortable as possible. Come grab candy, because usually I'm eating all of it. So save me and take my candy because I don't want to eat it all. But we're definitely here to like help out as much as possible.
Thank you so much. That's very reassuring for our students, I'm sure. And on to Rosie with our next question.
So my question goes for Lindsay, Camellia, and Majid. What is one tip that you could give to our students to have a successful recruiting, and what would you have them avoid? We could start with Lindsay.
All right. First off, when Garrett and Tiera were mentioning, in-person Meet the Firms, I just immediately got clammy. Like, that all the touching and the handshaking and the sweatiness. Oh, that's one thing I don't miss for sure about in-person events. Okay, back to the issue at hand here. One tip to be successful in your recruiting journey, this is such a cliche, but like keep an open mind as you're going through this. I think there's a lot of preconceived notions about firms of any size, of any location, of any culture. And I think you'd be really surprised once you start to speak to representatives of those firms of those opportunities and the different benefits that you have at each of these companies are also different. And we each offer, we're all the same size, but we each offer such different opportunities and different vibes and different, cultures throughout our company. And so one thing is keep an open mind. Something to avoid. And I think I speak for the recruiting team here. Don't apply to a dozen positions on a job site. I think a lot of students think if you apply to every single location or every single role that it's going to get you further. It does the exact opposite, because we don't know what you want. If you apply to 12 different positions, we don't know what you actually want. We don't know where you actually want to move. If you're applying to Denver and New York, I don't know what that means. And so think about what you want, think about where you want to be, and pick 2, maybe 3 tops of positions that you really care about and that you would really want, and focus on those, cater your resume, cater your cover letter to those positions. All right, Camellia?
Okay, so my tip for all of you is something that comes to some really naturally, and others it takes a little bit of focus, and that is really starting to identify what you bring to the table. It takes a little bit of time to figure that out, but some tips I have for you is really to just take a moment and think to yourself, when I get together with my friends, what type of perspective am I bringing to the table? Are you, telling the jokes? Are you the one getting on Yelp and figuring out where to go? You have a brand, even individually in your own life. And so figuring out ways to communicate that, however minute that might be, to potential employers is really helpful. And I think along with that comes an authenticity, a feeling of authenticity for you, that you're leading with as much of your authentic self through this as you can, helps you feel powerful powerful, helps you feel in control, and will hopefully serve as a good lighthouse guiding you in the right direction. Things not to do, I think this remains to be said. Ghosting is a no-no in all shapes and forms. Don't ghost when you're dating, and don't ghost when you are recruiting. I think it's human, we understand why people ghost. There's a desire to kind of sneak out the side door and not necessarily say why you don't want to continue with the relationship, but it's okay. We can take it. We are dealing with, all types of different situations. So feel comfortable sharing with at least you're with your recruiter. We are a safe space to say, hey, I've decided not to move forward with the process, and here's why. So that's a hot tip for you. Any other things we want to share with the group?
And I guess for me, the biggest tip I have is definitely use this as an opportunity to build relationships. I know that's really a lot harder right now in the virtual environment, but the relationships that you build with professionals, and not even just professionals, but students in your classes who've done internships at firms, will help you not just now when you want to try to get an internship, but in the long run, even after you graduate. One quick story that I'll mention is I had a friend back when COVID started, a lot of firms were doing laid off, and she got laid off. And then she just reached out to me and was like, hey, I got laid off. You think you can help me get a job? And I was able to help her get one. And, when my manager asked me at the time, hey, why do you think she'd be a good fit for our firm? I was able to say, well, when I was in college with her, we were, in charge of this club together. And from that, I learned all this about her. So that relationship that I built with, my, at the time, classmate right there helped her not only, in the moments when we were in college, but so much later on in her future. And she turned out to be really great, and it worked out really well. So that's just one example of how building relationships with professionals and your classmates will help you, not just as you're applying for an internship right now, but throughout the rest of your life. And the number one biggest benefit of working in public accounting is the relationships you build with people. I never would have imagined that I would have over probably 100 friends working in accounting. That never crossed my mind when I was a junior. I was just sitting in the 350 auditorium by myself, this is going to be doing this for the next 4 semesters, just coming to class and going home. Nope, turned out to be the exact opposite. So definitely take advantage of that. And then the one thing I would say avoid is don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's definitely good to keep an open mind, and like a couple others have mentioned, definitely have I would say 3 to 4 firms that you want to aim for. But don't just have one specific firm or one specific firm that you want to recruit for and spend your entire time on meet the firms at that one table. It's good to have one or a couple of firms to go for, but it's still good to, like I said, talk to a lot of people, hear multiple people's perspectives, and learn from as many people as you can, versus just put all your eggs on one firm. And then if that doesn't work out, you now out on opportunities to recruit with probably 50 plus other firms that attend these Meet the Firms events. So that would be my biggest one of the biggest suggestions I have to avoid.
Thank you, everybody, for your input. And for our next question, this is going to be for Tiera, Carrie, and Garrett. Most CSUN students face the challenge of working with a full class schedule and family obligations at the same time. They do not have enough time to participate in many events as they would like to. What are your tips for those students on how they can successfully recruit? We can start with Tiera, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially in today's age with this virtual aspect, and I mean, there's so much more sometimes that we can take on our plate since we're not commuting, we're not going, we don't have all these extra things taking up little bits of time. So, even coming from being a student who worked 40 plus hours a week, full-time student, I absolutely get it. There's a lot of things that you have to sacrifice, or you can't always be everywhere at once. But really looking at it from a perspective of, there's so many different outlets, whether it's connecting with people on LinkedIn and following updates that they give there. There's a lot of us who are constantly posting events that we might be doing throughout the company. We have something at Cone Resident that we call Pyramid Series, and we do them throughout the summer as well, which is a great way to come in and meet not only the recruiters, but even better, a lot of our professionals. We even have we had a big one that a lot of people joined where it was like a pathway to partners, meeting where it was like just meeting a lot of our partners in our market, of seeing how they got to the position they were in. Some of those people had started as entry-level associates or interns within our company and had worked their way through the company. So like, all these different opportunities, from connecting with us on LinkedIn to find out other ways to connect with firms outside of Meet the Firm or school-based events, because I can't speak for everyone, but we do events on our own accord, not just through schools, or finding, little events, whether it's in the afternoon. Some, a lot of firms will go in and do, like table setups just to, meet with some students in passing by, or, meeting, just finding that time, that niche that works for you, whether it's night events, whether it's lunchtime events, whether it's, I can't make any of those events, but I can connect with someone on LinkedIn and try to see what I can, figure out. And sometimes it's just a matter of being, taking that initiative to reach out, send an email, and just, hey, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the event. Can you send me any information you have on the company, or would love to connect with you if you have any time, that you could set up with me just to give me a quick overview of anything, or any information you can send to me. I know even with like, I think Garrett, you mentioned you guys have like a virtual brochure, like things like that. Like there's plenty of information we can send you, even if you're not able to make these events. Like, like we've all been saying, we're here to advocate for you. We're here to be your support system, and we're here to help you be successful. We're not here to hinder your success or try to throw a wrench in it some way we can. We want to make it as easy and seamless as possible for you. And we're always here to help you in any way. And so if you can't make those events, just trying to, find another outlet to gain that information and make that connection, for sure. So I will popcorn off to Garrett.
Cool. So to add to this, we know you guys are busy. Like there's like this, like recruiting is exhausting. Like I don't know if any of you guys are part of Greek life at all, but like similar recruiting process, if you're going to have the same conversation a million times over and you have to act like each one was just as exciting as the last one, #law of diminishing marginal returns, right? So we know it, right? And so, coronavirus has been like such a monumental, I still think, I don't want to jinx us here, but I still think this is going to be like the biggest thing in all of our lives, period, bar none. This is like one of the weirdest things in the last 100 years and the next 100 years. So one of the interesting and really good things to come out of this is the advent of kind of Zoom, right? And Microsoft Teams, and hastening us moving to a place where communication is now easier than it has ever been. Right now, Tiera, correct me if I'm wrong. You're calling us from Maryland, right? Like that ain't happening like 10 years ago.
I am in Maryland. This would not have even been 2 years ago. We probably would have had an in-person event and someone would have not been able to make it. So I am Maryland, 9 o'clock on the dot here. So
right. So like that kind of stuff, like it is now easier than ever. If you guys are missing events or like missing things, or you feel like, oh no, I'm behind because I didn't attend these events. Rely on your classmates that, like, again, I promise I'm not being narcissistic here, but like the recruiter is such a great place to start. Hey, Carrie, I couldn't make it to tonight's thing. I know you guys were there. Would you mind connecting me with, I'm interested in audit. I'm interested in tax. I'm interested, like every single one of these firms, what we want you to do is to connect with our people, because all of us are supremely confident that when you do, you'll enjoy the people that you're interacting with. Right? Or if you don't, we'll take that person out back and yell at them for being a jerk, right? So that's the game. So whether that happens over Zoom or in person, early, late, middle of the day, all of the recruiters here know most folks in terms of we know the night owls, we know the morning people, we know who to connect you with so that you can start to hear from professionals about what it's like to work here, right? You can ask us what it's like to work here, but y'all are never going to work with us. Right. So our goal is always to connect you with professionals. And it's really nice now that we can do that at any time and don't have to worry about traffic, don't have to worry about, oh, like I really don't want to leave my house right now. I'm in pajamas and slippers, but hey, at least I've got the school BakerTilly polo going on up top. So like it's really comfortable to be able to meet with people now, and it's easier to do. And so I would encourage you to reach out and ask, hey, can I borrow 30 minutes of your time for a Zoom call sometime? Carrie?
No, I think you both said it really well. The only other, connecting one-on-one, right? Connecting in small groups. I think if you have to prioritize your time, especially with virtual recruiting, events where you can connect in small groups or one-on-one is the most important thing you could do. So I know it's like safe to come to speaking engagements where you're in a big crowd, but over Zoom, I'll be honest, it's really hard to know all of you, right? Because that's not the point of tonight. But if you just go to speaking engagements, you're not going to connect with people. You might get our take on things, but you're not having that human interaction that we previously would have had at in-person events. So if you're like, gosh, I only have time to go to 2 events this week, make it the ones where you can connect with people in small groups or one-on-one, or make time, like Tiera and Garrett both said, and ask us to help, facilitate those connections so that you can make that happen. Especially with virtual recruiting, this one-on-one time is so critical.
Thank you all so much for all that information. My internet connection is apparently unstable, so I hope you guys can hear me fine. But at this point of the meeting, I would love to open the floor to the students to see if they have any questions for you guys. Does anyone have any questions? Joel, what is your question?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. I had a question for all of you recruiters, actually. What are your 3 traits that you look for in your top performers?
I guess I can start. Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Definitely for me, the number one thing that comes to mind is like communication. As like an intern or a new hire, when the hardest part is being honest to the person you're working with and telling them, hey, this doesn't make sense. Hey, I need you to explain this to me again. So if you're an intern or an associate new hire who communicates really well with your team, keeps them up to date on when you're busy and when you need more work, keeps them up to date on when stuff makes sense and when you need help, etc., you'll be like one of the interns who we would want to give a full-time offer to. It's the interns more who are scared to speak up. It's the interns more who are afraid to go out to network who struggle. But the interns who communicate really well and connect really well with their team are the ones that are the most successful. So I'll start with number 1, and I guess I'll leave number 2 and 3 to two other people.
Sure, you've bought us some time here. Joel, good question. There's a lot of this that I think is pretty generic that all of our firms are kind of looking for. Communication skills are really important. I always get a little sensitive about communication skills as all of us say communication and it means something different. It's a topic of study at most universities as well. So this is not something that is obtained overnight or within a year. All of us take years of practicing of now, when you say communication, does that mean spoken language skills? Does that mean listening ability? Does that mean there's a whole bunch that it means, right? But not to belittle the point, I think communication is critical. I think it's really important. And it is absolutely something that I think all of the firms look for. Personally, BakerTilly, we look for your height, your bench press, and your 40-yard dash time. These are very critical in terms of your ability to both audit and prepare tax returns. And so we will measure you against other people based on those criteria. In all seriousness, what we're looking for, for me, effort, energy, and attitude at the entry level, these are the things that are under your control. These things look differently though for everyone. So energy is something where that doesn't mean you're a loudmouth who's talking all the time, who's sucking the air out of the room, right? You can bring a different energy into a room and that's yours, right? Your effort, that one, it may look different, but as long as we can tell that you're putting forth effort, no matter how challenging something gets, that's good. And attitude is this one. So my wife is one of those people that is just always happy, no matter what. And it's caused different arguments in our marriage over the years. We've been dating since we were 15. So, but we've talked about it so many times that it's this is not easy to always be happy, to always carry a good attitude, to always smile, or to always bring a good positive energy into a room. I think people make the mistake of thinking that that's an easy way of existing. It really isn't. But if you're able to come into a stressful firm, whether it's busy season or not, and always have a good attitude, that's really impressive, whether you're 20 years old or whether you're 60 or 65 years old and you're a retiring partner, right? So those are the things that I would say, or personally that I look for, and I think in general, most of our firms look for, but then also kind of, BakerTilly in general. Those are three attributes that we are looking for, even if they do end up looking different for different people.
I want to add in there the willingness to learn and to kind of adjust to corporate culture. It's so difficult now. You've been in this virtual environment and you've also only really been in classes. You get that immediate feedback, you get immediate grades, you got to know how you're doing. It's so different to transition into that corporate culture. And so acting as, I feel like I'm saying 6 different things, but like acting as a sponge when you get into it, and the willingness to learn and just take things in strides, because we know from our side, like, we're not going to judge you. We know that you don't know everything coming into this. And like, you're not expected to in the first days, weeks, months. Like, it's going to take time. And so someone that can be open and learn, but also give themselves a little bit of grace. Like, we know it's tough and we know it's difficult to transition from the classroom to a career. So that's another big one, or big 6 that I just listed.
I think everyone's done a really good job of summing up stuff I would have said. The one thing that stood out to me, and this is, I have to paraphrase what we look for, because you'll understand in a minute. We have a no jerks, I'll just say no jerks rule here at HCVT. If you come across as a jerk, we use other terminology internally, you're not going to work here, right? Like, we want people, not everyone can be positive. We look for positive attitude, but stress, right? Busy season stress gets to you, but how do you handle that stress? If you are the type of person who is going to be nasty, your teammates, is just not going to be a good individual to be around. Even when you're feeling down, like, we X-nay your resume so quickly. So just be thoughtful about how you carry yourself, even when you're really stressed, even when you're, you feel that first busy season pressure and you don't know what to do. Don't be a jerk to those around you, because we don't hire those people. And I think I think all the firms here probably have that rule too, even if they don't explicitly say it. Maybe Garrett, I don't know. So we can talk about that later. We can debate BakerTilly later, but we have that here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just, if you look at someone and think like, is this someone I could work with? Is this someone I could see myself working with? At the end of the day, like everyone said, be a sponge, be, able to talk to people, express issues that you're having, have those conversations. The best thing about being an intern is it's probably the easiest interview, the easiest process that you'll ever go, because you're genuinely not expected to know anything. It's when you have experience is when it gets difficult. When you're coming in as an intern, all we pretty much expect you to know is how to use a computer and to know your name. Like, you don't have experience. Like, you haven't never worked as an accountant. So we get to teach you everything. We get to teach you the processes. We get to teach you the softwares. So it's going to be the easiest process as far as like interviewing and coming in and being able to grow within a company, because we get to show you the way. The only thing that we're really going to pay attention to once you start is how you're progressing. We're not expecting you to come in as a rock star and know everything and pick up everything instantly and never have questions. And oh my God, it doesn't happen. It never happens. We're expecting you to just come in and show progress throughout the internship. They progressively got better. They showed improvement. Every time, if there was an issue, they took it in stride and they were able to move forward. I think one of the biggest things that it's hard to look for it in a person, because you don't know it until that moment. But one thing that I've seen to kind of twist it a little bit to hinder an intern from moving forward is the ability to accept constructive criticism. No one, and I'm actually even dealing with that like right now with us, because we're doing like mid-intern evaluations. No one ever wants to be told that they're not doing well at something, ever. You don't want to hear it in your personal life. You don't want to hear it at work. Like, it sucks to hear, but you do have to hear those moments, because it's how you take that constructive criticism and turn it around is what's going to make you stand out. Hey, they took this in stride. They ran with it. They got better. They showed improvement. And it's now completely better and everything's going great. Like those are things that might hinder you more. It's not something that we can necessarily look for in a candidate. Some things don't present themselves until you're already here. So that's what, you know, is more of a what can keep you necessarily more than what can hinder you from getting it. Because a lot of things don't really hinder you from getting in. You know, you don't usually, we always see the best side of you in an interview. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you, everyone. Is there any more questions from the students? Joel again.
Yeah, I had another question. This one goes to Lindsay. Regarding the forensics internship, can you explain some of the main responsibilities of that role?
Oh, that's a great question. So like I mentioned earlier, forensic accountants are the ones that, you know, I would say the sexiest of the accounting fields. They do all the depositions and the court cases and mediations. And so it's this kind of fun mix of law and accounting, but it's definitely 80, 89, 95% accounting. Like it's still accounting focused. And so we look for students that kind of have more of a creative aspect in addition to a high, you know, detail oriented, numbers oriented vibe. I don't know. And in terms of responsibilities for our interns, we treat them as associates. So they will do background work on depositions. They will create the binders that our directors and our managing directors take to court. You will attend court and shadow the managers and directors in their depositions and mediations. And it's still a lot of, you know, reviewing financial statements. It's a lot of math, it's a lot of Excel, but there is that kind of side aspect of learning a little bit of background about law as well. And if you have additional questions, I can send you a job description.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you.
Definitely.
Any more questions from the students? Then I would like to pass it on to Rosie with our next question.
So the question goes for Lindsay, Camellia, and Majid. As the recruiting process is virtual, could you give an example what to include in your introductory to make a good first impression? We could start with Majid.
I would say like one good thing to do in your introductory to make a good first impression would probably be to like, I wasn't ready for that question, didn't see my name in that one. But definitely for me, I love it when people have like researched our firm and know some background about our firm. I know, like Garrett mentioned, you don't have to find a random specific fact about our firm and throw that up as the big thing. But I like it at least when people, you know how many offices we have, know whether they want to do audit or tax, know how know how big our company is. And I've really like done some background knowledge versus just applied because this is another opening on the website, showing that you have like a real interest for the specific firm you're applying for versus just applying for an audit and tax internship really will help you like stand out when you're one of the multiple people interviewing, because it shows the interviewer, hey, this person is actually interested in X firm. This person isn't just interested in an audit, random audit internship with any firm. So that's like one just really good way to make a good first impression in the interviews, is showing why you're interested in X specific firm versus just interested in getting an internship or getting a job.
I second that. I think that was a really great synopsis. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, but right, having that sense of self, it all comes hand in hand.
I was just about to say, Camelia's point on knowing your brand is so helpful. Maybe a little bit about why you stand out, or why, what you're bringing to the table, what makes you a little bit different in this process. We see students with, a lot of resumes at the college level look the same. And like, that's not a bad thing. That's completely okay. And like, we know that you don't have, 18 years of experience to go on. But having a little bit of that personality and have you shine through in your introduction, I think helps you stand out a little bit.
Thank you for that information. And as for our next question, goes out to everybody. After an interview or a recruiter event, what kind of follow-up email have you seen that's left a good impression or you still remember to this day? We could start with Garrett and popcorn from there, please.
See my pained look of anguish and just go straight for the jugular. Now, it's a general rule of thumb. In a follow-up email, try to mention something that we've talked about, right? Like if your follow-up email is like, hey, Garrett, it was great meeting you tonight. Really liked talking to you. Look forward to seeing you in the future. Like that's not like particularly memorable. If you can kind of find something in there, like if anyone here follows up tonight's event by sending me your 40-yard dash time, that would be memorable. That would be funny. But so something that kind of stands out in an email that even for me, I don't even necessarily mind if it's obvious that you're trying to stand out in an email. Like that's kind of fun. Like when we're all up late at night reading emails and responding to stuff, that's kind of nice to see something that's not just like very rank and file. But I would say, Leander, in general, I would say what you're looking to do is connect on something that you discussed with that person during the day or during the event, and then move forward towards what you're trying to do after that. Right. And so like you have to mention something that jogs the person's memory of what you discussed and then move forward from there. Other folks, anything I'm missing there? Anything you guys like?
I have one. Oh, sorry, Lindsay.
You're good, Camellia. Go ahead.
I'm passionate. Okay, I'll be quick. I think repetition is really great. So hot tip I have for you is to send your thank you email and then follow it up with a LinkedIn ad and potentially add a short note, very short, something that doesn't require necessarily a response since you already emailed them. But just connecting with you here so we can stay within each other's network, period, done. That's my tip. Go ahead.
Absolutely agree with Camellia. I was going to say the same thing. And it's just a tip, on Garrett's point of finding something to connect on outside of the norm. You're speaking to a lot of professionals when you do meet the firms, when you do these events, and having like a little notepad and like taking a note of, oh, I talked to this person, we talked about this, or like you're going to get sidetracked. You're going to forget who you talked to. Make a little note because we're going to remember. If you have that little piece of information that, your 40-yard dash time. And this isn't commonplace anymore by any means, but I received like a thank you card in the mail that was like sent to my office a couple of years ago. And I still think about that. Like, it's like the extra effort that it takes. It's not even what was in the card. It was like, hey, thanks for chatting or thanks for interviewing me. And it went a long way because that doesn't happen anymore. And so maybe think of something a little bit creative outside of the box to connect with someone. It doesn't have to be a card, but something a little different.
Yeah, and I mean, just to kind of feed off of, what everyone said, think of it from this perspective as well. You guys, if you go into like a career fair or meet the firms or something like that, you may talk to anywhere from 5 to 10 people max. Our whole job is literally talking to 10s, 20s, 30s, hundreds of people in a day, or looking at a million names a day. So everything just starts blending for us. Like, we're looking at so many people and we're talking to so many people and all the names start blending, and I to the point that your eyes are crossed. Like I think this has made me have the inability of remembering people's names at this point sometimes because I hear so many names in a day. So having, just like Garrett said, like having that email that helps us identify you to a conversation is so helpful, because it's like, oh, I really did like that person. That person was actually really great. Love that they followed up. Finding something that we talked about. Did we joke about we were rivals for our schools? Did we talk about, how much I hate your football team, like whatever it may have been, those are conversations that really do help. It help us kind of reconnect, make sure we're remembering who you were, forwarding you along, remembering those conversations, remembering that personality. Definitely connecting with us on LinkedIn is another way to stay in contact. But I think, and to kind of follow up with what Camellia said, as far as follow up, I don't know about you guys, but my inbox sometimes can be a black hole. If you shoot us an email and you hear nothing back from us, maybe like in a week or two, just shoot a follow up, just like, hey, just really wanted to reconnect. I didn't receive a link for, like, if you were asking for like a way to apply or something like that, or connect with someone, it's okay to follow up and just say, hey, I just wanted to follow up to see if there was still an opportunity. I know you're busy, just wanted to kind of, pop back up at the top of your email. It happens. We don't do it on purpose, I promise you. But if we're away at events for 3 days, trying to come back and dig out of that hole of emails can be very challenging. And sometimes it just unexpectedly gets lost in our email. So, re-following up on that, just to say like, hey, just wanted to follow up to see if there's still an opportunity, or if you can still send me a way or a person to get in contact with, like, greatly appreciated. I'm not saying send them every day, because then we'll be like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But, just like a nice, like, timely follow up if we didn't get back to you. We're not purposely ignoring you. We're not saying, oh, we don't care. It does happen. So, just being mindful of that, but definitely follow-up emails are great. We like to connect with you, especially on big platforms like this. We get it. We don't get to talk to everyone. We don't get to meet with you and interact with you. So, please feel free to connect with all of us, in any way, shape, or form.
The last thing I'll add, I agree with all of this, like, first, all of it that's been said so far. Two things that go hand in hand. First is remind us, not just like what we talked about, but also what event you met us at. Sometimes, especially like pre-COVID, we were going to 2 or 3 events in a day. And if you have a Gmail address that doesn't have your school associated with it, I'll be like, I don't remember what event this, like, I've had 5 conversations about the Lakers today. I think I remember it, but what if I didn't? And especially, like, I'm the recruiting manager, so I cover a lot of different schools, and we have recruiters that handle different schools. So I want to make sure that your name gets sent to that recruiter so that they look out for your application, right? Like, I'm like, okay, I remember they took the time to follow up. So jog our memory, what event? And then also, if you already know at what point, like what role you're going to be applying for, throw that in the email as well. Again, so that it's like, it just helps with the mental note to be like, I'm going to look out for Joel's application for whatever, right? Like, well, just so you know, it helps when we get hundreds and hundreds, sometimes thousands of applications. So anything you can do to just help us along a little bit. We're old, we have bad memories, like, help us out. So.
Yeah, pretty much what everyone said, I would echo. And, sometimes keeping emails clear and to the point is like a thing to keep in mind too. It's really hard when you're having to go through like 100 unread emails, like after Meet the Firms, to want to read the ones that are 5 paragraphs long versus read the ones that are 4 sentences long. Like, if I had to choose which emails I would skip, I would unfortunately have to skip the ones that are 3-4 paragraphs long. So definitely, talking about finding like a connection point in the email is good, but at the same time, not making it so overwhelming to the point the person won't read it is a good thing to keep in mind.
The infamous zone of save for later that never gets saved for later.
We're not intentionally ghosting you, promise.
We promise we're not ghosters.
It's on a list somewhere.
It has a red flag somewhere in our emails.
Thank you. I appreciate the explanation. I know ghosting has happened to me before, and it's probably a high probability that a lot of you will be ghosted. But thank you for that explanation and those tips. So it looks like we are out of time. So I would like to just have our announcements one more time. We do have our networking workshop this Saturday for the Accounting Association. It'll be a nice practice before Meet the Firms. You'll get to talk with some professionals, and it could help you warm up to what it's like to have those 10-minute blocks and what you should talk about. Practice your questions. So I hope to see everybody there. Just sign up, try to get a spot. It's really helpful, I promise. And we are still doing table sittings from 10 to 4 outside Bookstein Hall, Monday through Thursday. So if you have any questions about the Accounting Association or the events we host, you could meet us out there. I'd like